Let's talk really quickly about lists. A list of different data in one variable. It is started with with like this little with these brackets. So let's get what I'm talking about, right? The way a list is written, what you do is you write little brackets, and then inside of the brackets you can put different data. So data, and to in order to separate the data, you put a little comma. So data one, data two, data three. We can put a variable inside of here. We can do a lot of things, right? You can basically store anything. You can store multiple things inside of a list, right? It's like a list in real life. You have a bunch of different things. So let's do an example. So let's say we're gonna have a variable. We're gonna call it shopping list, right? And we want to make a Python variable with all the stuff we want to buy. So first, to start a list, we start with these brackets, and then inside of the brackets, we put the different stuff in our list, the different data. So let's say we want to buy oranges. So notice one thing, right? Because I put these quotations around oranges, this is a string. Oranges is a string. Let's say we want to buy oranges. We want to buy, I don't know, milk. We could buy cheese. What's another thing? Let's buy chicken. So that's our shopping list. Oranges, milk, cheese, chicken. These are multiple different data types that we've stored all into one variable. So like if we print shopping list, we get oranges, milk, cheese, chicken. What we're able to do is we're going to take all these different data types, right? And instead of like assigning one to one variable, one to another variable, blah, 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 blah. What we're able to do is we're able to store all of these different variables inside one variable in a list. So there you go, shopping list. You can also put different types of data within one list. So I'm just going to call this practice list. And let's say we can have 5, which is an integer. We could have cow, which is a string. We could have 123.4, which is an integer, right? So, and this still works. So if we print practice list, it still gives us 5. It still works, right? It still prints something. So keep in mind with list, you can put any data in. So we put in an integer, a string, and a float all inside of this one list, and it's fine. So you can put whatever you want inside of a list. So, yep, there you go. You can also put a variable inside of a list. So we could put like shopping list inside of our list. So let's say we want to have let's say we want to put shopping list, right? Remember, this is our shopping list. Let's say we want to put in integer 1. Remember, our integer 1 is 5 up here, and we want to put in name. So in this case, our shopping list is equal to this. Integer 1 is equal to 5, and name is equal to Ben. And if we print this, we still get, all this stuff. So, right, remember it's separated by a comma. So first we have oranges, cheese, milk, because that's our shopping list, comma, 5, because that's our integer 1, comma, Ben, because that's our name. So yeah, lists, they store stuff. All right. So now let's get into the list. Now let's talk about tuple. Well, okay, they're really similar to lists, except the main difference is that like you can't change them. So tuples are basically lists, except you can't change the stuff inside them. But once we go later in, when you get a little bit more advanced, you'll learn that you can change like a specific thing inside of a shopping list. So like let's say you want to get rid of oranges, right? But still keep everything else. Basically what you can do is you can edit your list so that you delete oranges while still keeping everything else, right? Or if you want to replace oranges with something else, you can do that. Well, we'll learn about that later. With a tuple, you can't do that. So a tuple is just a list, but like you can't change them. They start with parentheses. So let's make a like shopping. Let's make another shopping list. Shopping list 2. So this is going to be our second shopping list. This time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it with parentheses, and then I'm going to put different stuff inside of my shopping list. Let's say, this time we want to go to a hardware store stuff. So we want to buy a hammer. I don't know. Let's say we want to buy a drill and we want to buy nails. So both of these, and actually if we print if we print the second shopping list, if we print shopping list 2, we get hammer, drill, nail. We still have multiple data inside of one variable. The only difference is that because these are in parentheses, you can't change them in the future. You will never be able to change this list. So actually, so sometimes like people think like, oh, then like what's the point of using what's the point of using like a tuple when you can just use a list, right? Because a list you can choose to change it, or you could just choose to keep it the same, right? So like you should just use a list instead, right? Because people think, well, there's no point in using a tuple. Well, sometimes a tuple can be helpful because, like, let's say you're making a website, right? And you want to have it like, I don't know, with passwords or something, right? And you want to keep, you don't want passwords to change, right? You want to make it that everyone always has to, like, they can't just change their password wherever, or someone can't just hack in to your thing and change passwords for people. Then you can put it inside of a tuple, and then the passwords won't be able to change. Tuples, yeah, that's kind of it. But honestly, I prefer lists because, even if I'm not gonna change the stuff inside, a list, I just like them more. So anyway, yeah, we have our tuple. Um, Now let's talk about our dictionary. So remember dictionary, it's DICT. That's the way it's written, dictionary. So dictionaries are basically dictionaries. They have multiple variables inside one variable. So remember, our variables is something like this. Decimal is equal to 10.3. Integer 1 is equal to 5. These are all variables. And remember, we only have one variable is equal to one thing. So basically, a dictionary is a way to store multiple variables into one variable. So like a list is to store different data inside like one thing. A dictionary is a way to store multiple variables and their like definitions inside one variable. So let me try to explain it, right? Well, these are kind of actually these aren't that common, but let's do it. Dict one. Also I forgot to write. They start with these curly brackets. So first you do a curly bracket, right? Okay. Then what you do is you put in the name of a variable, and when you write the name of a variable, you have in a dictionary you have to put quotations around. So let's say we want to make this I don't know. Let's make it about a car. We'll call this one car info. Okay, that's gonna be our dictionary. So let's say we want to do the brand. I don't know. Let's make it Honda. So we're gonna have a brand that's a Honda. So now, right? So now we have this one sort of like variable. Our variable is brand, and it is a Honda. And notice that normally with variables you put an equal sign. When you're inside of a dictionary, you don't do that. When you're with a dictionary, you put this colon instead. And then in order to separate it, you put a comma to go to the next thing. Now let's do, I don't know, year. We can put, I don't know, 2015, right? So in this case, remember, when you're with a dictionary, your variable names, they always have to start with, they always have to have a parentheses around them. And then you put this little colon and then you put whatever. So brand, Honda, year, 2015. And then I guess, yeah, that'll be our dictionary, right? So there you go. So once again, actually, yeah. So dictionaries, they could be like good. Like let's say you want to have a like if you're making a website, right, and you want a username and a password for all your users, right? So you can store the username and passwords into different dictionaries, right? So they're stored together into one value. All right. So yeah, those are your dictionaries.